You kids who walked across the way from the school next door, right? Do I have that right? So thank you for being here. I want to welcome everyone for a very special day for us in Butte Silver Bow. As you know, we had kids dying last year from suicide, and Carl Roston, the state suicide prevention coordinator, is here today, and I'm very pleased about that. Carl relayed to us when we formed a committee, and the committee that looks at suicide in Butte was actually formed by my boss, Butte Silver Bow Chief Executive Matt Vincent. And Carl Roston has taught us a lot since then in regard to we're no different than any other community. We were prompted into action by fear, really. Fear that kids were dying, and we put our committee together, and we've done a boatload of work. But I think the most important thing that we've accomplished is this bill that we're going to build on. And Representative Edie McClafferty, a Democrat out of Butte, carried the bill for us and worked her tail off this session to ensure that this bill got passed, and it did. Before I go any further, there's a table right outside the door here with flyers on an offering that is being offered by Project Aware. It's a $2 million five-year grant out of Butte School District number 1 that I think will have more impact in our community on youth mental health services and suicide prevention than any effort that we've ever undertaken. Cassie O'Leary from Project Aware is here today, and one of their very first offerings is a project called Youth Mental Health First Aid. On your way out, please grab a flyer. We are offering this in town, and I'm told that this is something that will teach lay people in our community a lot about what to look for and how to interact with young adults diagnosed with a mental health condition. So with that, we have some very important people with us today. And first up, I would like to introduce Governor Steve Bullock, who was here in Butte at Butte High School, if I recall correctly, after some of our young people were dying, and came here and really showed the community the importance of our efforts and really underscored for us how importantly he felt our issue was. So I want to thank you for being here today, Governor Bullock.
Thanks, Karen. I'd underscore, though, that the very important people aren't those of us that stand up in front of you. I mean, the very important people are you all as students and the community that ultimately is here to support every one of our students and every one of our kids. I mean, unfortunately, not unlike a number of other communities in Montana, Butte knows the stinging pain of a life cut far too short. The pain's particularly sharp when your life is ended at their own hands. And the ripples of a young person taking their own life reverberate beyond the walls of a home or school. I think they impact an entire community. And indeed, as citizens of Montana, a piece of each of us are lost when a life, wherever it is in this state, is cut short. When we mourn the lives of those lost, though, we must also work to prevent these situations from repeating themselves across the state. And Butte is so good at coming together at times of tragedy and really saying that we can do so much more. And I want to commend Representative McClafferty for taking on this issue and recognizing that it's larger than just the community. As a school teacher in Butte, she's seen firsthand why we must take action. But I also say parenthetically, well, we do this for our community and our city. It's kind of exciting. Someone on the board of Jason Flatt group, the Attorney General of Mississippi, the day that this passed, I got an email and said, I'm so excited to see what Montana's doing. As Karen mentioned last last January, I think it was, when tragedy struck this community, I joined residents as we tried to pull together as a community and seek a path forward. A path where no young person feels that their only option is to take their own life. And today, as we get to sign this bill, I think it represents an important step in fulfilling that promise of ensuring that we are all collectively working together for a path forward. This important piece of legislation will ensure that schools, both teachers and the faculty, have the knowledge, training, and resources to identify the signs that a student might be considering taking their own life, as well as how they can appropriately and effectively intervene to avoid tragedy. We know, though, that signings of bills, that's not where our work ends. And it's just one more step along this trail. It's even one loss is certainly one too many. We must continue to educate ourselves. We must continue to support those who are struggling. We must ensure that there's appropriate interventions and mental health care throughout our state. You as students also have to be leaders and recognizing that when a friend or a peer is struggling, that it's not something that you as students can keep to yourselves, that we all have an opportunity to watch out for members of our community. None of this work is ever easy. It requires difficult conversations, uncomfortable realizations, but ultimately the challenge of addressing youth suicides in our state, it's a small price to pay to ensure that every student knows their value and recognizes that there's support for them not only in their schools, but throughout their communities. And Butte is a strong, and resilient community. Through history, you've never backed down from a challenge. You're all continuing this legacy as you get your arms around and work as a community to address these difficult issues head on. Thank you all here, Butte Health Department, and everybody here today for the work that you do. Thanks for the teachers and faculty members that will take Representative McLafferty's initial efforts, and all of those teachers who not only instruct on reading, writing, arithmetic, but will also help instruct on this new law, which can serve as a beacon of hope for those students who may be struggling. It's now my pleasure to to introduce the sponsor of this bill, a teacher here in Butte and a friend, Representative Eden Clapper.
Hey, when they start signing the bill, you want me to record it?
I want
so
to
you
thank
say
everyone
it
for being here, the people, and myself, for the signing of House Bill 374, and it's so nice to see so many students here today. House Bill 374 is a bill that will develop suicide prevention and awareness training that will be used in our schools throughout Montana. There is no community in the state of Montana that has escaped the pain of youth suicide. Here in Butte, we know all too well the pain that youth suicide can have on our families, on our friends, and on our community. And that is why when the Suicide Prevention and Awareness Committee approached me before we came into session in January, they asked me to carry a bill for them, and I agreed. As a school teacher, I believe that it is my duty and my colleagues' duty to do everything we can to support our students, especially when they are struggling. We need to ensure that we can help them in a timely and a responsible manner. House Bill 374 is a bill that will offer youth suicide awareness and prevention training to all educators throughout the state of Montana. It is just an extra tool that we have in the toolbox to help us to help our children who are struggling. This is only the beginning. Many of us will continue to work to bring suicide prevention training and awareness throughout the state of Montana with other organizations. But I would like to take just a brief moment. I want to thank all of the committee members from the Suicide Prevention and Awareness Committee for all their hard work and all their dedication for bringing this bill forward, because really, without you, it would not be here today. And I'd also like to thank you for asking me to carry such an important piece of legislation for you. And with the passage of House Bill 374, I do believe that together we can and we will save lives. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Superintendent Judy Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody. Kids, thank you for being here. Governor Bullock's usually right most of the time, and he really was right today when he said that we are not the important ones. We truly are not. There are a lot of people that are sitting in these seats that you guys have to know were instrumental in doing a lot, not only with the passage of House Bill 374, but with a lot of other programs that are going on in the Butte community. There are so many to thank, and the first I think we need to say is thank you to this guy sitting in front of us, Carl Roston, because he was the first person we called when we had a tragedy last year. With his expertise and his leadership, he helped us through those really important first couple of days. You also should be very thankful that you have a great administrative staff such as Mr. Metz and Mr. O'Neill, who were really part of that original crisis intervention committee that really got everything in place as we started to work and process all of the tragedies that we felt last year and the years before. Without their leadership, our students would not have been able to cope as well as they did cope. I know I'm going to miss a lot of people, so it's hard to just point out a few people. There's a great community effort here, and it was really brought on by your chief executive, Matt Vincent. I'm hoping you're getting an idea that it takes a whole bunch of people to get good things happening. And without his leadership, who got us together in the first place, where we brought the county superintendent and Karen Sullivan and her group, as well as Mr. Berryman and his group, we would not have been able to come up with some of the plans and some of the activities that we're doing now. House Bill 374, along with the work that Mr. Berryman and Superintendent Maloney are doing in the community, is extremely important, and it is the foundation in which our administration, along with our Trustee Zimpel is here today, will take to the board and craft a new policy for Butte School District that will focus on a requirement of training for all of our staff, not only our certified staff, but our classified. In addition, this bill will allow us to take to the board this month an aggressive training program that will begin in the fall that will do for mental health first aid as well as suicide prevention programs for the students. With their approval and with our crafting and working with the Montana School Board Association, we're hoping to have a policy in place based upon the foundation of House Bill 37 that other school districts across the state of Montana can use. House Bill 374 will keep at the focus of Butte School District suicide prevention strategies. This is important to make sure that we have consistent, ongoing programs and keep the focus of making sure that all kids are safe and receiving the support that they need. This is an extremely important bill because it keeps that focus there on a regular basis. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll never be able to say thank you to the parents and the things that Chris Berry has done and her son. There are so many people here to thank, and without their help, we wouldn't be where we're at, and our commitment, our focus we would not be able to have. So once again, kids, these people are great. It takes a community to make things work, and it's proof that we do care. And there's an old reporter back in 1910 that said it means something to be a kid from Butte, and we truly mean that. And so, thanks very much.
Thanks. I'm Matt Vincent, Chief Executive, and I think there's been a lot of important and very relevant things already said, so I'm not going to prolong it a whole lot longer. I know that Governor Bullock has already pointed out that we're not the important people here. It's our younger folks that are the most important. And any credit that has been thrown at me for getting the group together that this bill came out of is, I'm not gonna accept that. I did what any good leader would do, and that is to really step up and do something in the face of a major crisis. It's never okay when somebody takes their life. It makes it even more tragic when it's somebody you know, and most importantly, I think, when it's somebody young who has a whole life ahead of them. And so we saw this cluster emerging. One of the victims happened to be a child of one of our employees, and one of them happened to be a neighbor and a friend of one of my children. And that's, not that it should take something striking that close to home to move on this, but when you have 4 young folks take their lives in a short period of time, that not doing anything is not an option. And I can remember when we put this group together, there was about 20 folks in the room up at the courthouse, and like today, I think it's good to have, and I'm honored to have the governor here, and I'm honored to have you folks here. It's important for us to mark this as a point, but this is just
That's
one
all right.
one little accomplishment, and what I think is going to have to be a continued course of action for our community. And so when you look back a year and a half ago when we had that first meeting, there was about 20 folks. And the bill that Representative McClafferty sponsored, and the bill that the governor is here to support and sign, that's just one major milestone, I think, on a very long, perpetual course, one that should never end. On behalf of our communities, we improve ways to help folks in need, both young in what we look at in the bill that's being signed today, and old, as we look at all of the different sectors of the community that are represented in this group that now involves over 50 people and 40 different organizations, and it's continuing to improve and expand day by day. This bill is not just something that came out of Butte and out of this Butte task force, but it's something that's going to benefit all of our community and our kids in our community here, but the entire state of Montana's. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with reaching out to including some good guidance from the state of Montana through Mr. Roston and all of the professionals that we have here in our community. We're excited as we continue to roll out the Project Aware program in the schools that Superintendent Jonart refers to, and we've just started in the last 6 months to include direct involvement from the people that are affected the most in this, and that's you as the students. And so I know we're just getting up to speed on this, and it's important for us to stay up to speed and continue the course for the long haul here. So I think today's a very important day. It's worth celebrating a milestone, but let's just not forget that we got a much longer and more important path to continue if we want to see things continue to progress. So thank you, everyone.
So, do you have an agenda? I want to make sure that I do everything correctly. Thank you. I just want to read a statement from Bill Wheeler. Bill Wheeler is the father of Jake Wheeler, who died by suicide on January 1 of 2014. He couldn't be here today, Governor. He is in Orlando on a previously planned trip with his family, and they're having fun. But he did write, and I'll quote, "If you get a chance to speak to the governor, I think you can let him know that we parents who lost the children in 2013, 2014 are deeply appreciative that he would come to Butte in person to sign this legislation. The
He is now law.
Come up and have a photo of the bill being signed. That will
If you want to, I'll record it for you.
I'm gonna go up and. I have a question. If we're recording with our phone, can we go up and record bill being signed? If we're recording with our phone, can we record the bill being signed?
Oh my goodness, yes.
I'm gonna post this on my account on YouTube. I got like 20 followers.
Do you really?
Yeah.
What's the account name?
Brendan Wood.
What's that?
Brendan Wood.
Brendan Wood. Unfortunately, I already signed.
Spam.
We look first, though, and comes.
So if the committee members, you want to squeeze in a little bit. There you go. Alan, squeeze in a little bit.
I think we want to get Tom Beltine in here.
The battery in my state card.
Sorry, step up.
I'll have to work on that.
Okay. Brittany, here you go.
Thank you, everyone.
How long did that take?
24 minutes.
Oh, so boring and most important, boring 24 minutes this year.
Yup. I'm still recording.
Happy
Hold on.
Jeez.
I swear to God, I will leave it.
This is a video.
I don't care. I will stop leaving it.
I can't get another 24 minutes of this.
Okay, let's just knock the recorder so he doesn't get pissed.
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here. I'm trying to get out of here.
Wow. It got really noisy in here when all that ended.
What do you expect? It's only quiet when there's something important happening.
Yes, that's true. You're on a video now.
All right, so why don't we put Governor Bullock right there?
I'm gonna stand here until you say something.
Seriously, don't.
Do what?
Don't feel. Get in the picture. Get in the picture. I'll take a picture with you. Okay. Oh, you just want me to just record it? Yeah. Okay. Squeeze in. You can do a peace sign, but nothing else inappropriate. Jen, get in there.